Hey guys, today I will be talking about Colbert. Um, Colbert is a very, very good ship. One of my favorite ships in the game, actually. I play the crap out of it. It is by far my favorite premium. Out of every single tier 10 premium cruiser I have, Colbert is by far the most fun. So let's get into how the ship plays, or how I play the ship, and commander builds, equipment, all that good stuff. All right, so the ship skills are Level 4, Speed Boost, DFA 2, and a Sonar 1. Now you get two sonars, so I build in a sonar with my commander. I run Jujard instead of Felipe. I have both, but I like Jujard because the speed boost is a little bit better. Now this is my Marceau captain, so I just flip him between the two. Um, I just have him built kind of in between the two. Like I take Giant Hunter, but I still run sonar. So it's kind of like a build for two ships in one. But um, this is basically how I would build. The only thing I would probably change is instead of Kraken skill, you're probably better off running Air Defense Expert. And the level 12 skill I would just leave on Giant Hunter because level 12 skill gives you an extra, well, horizontal protection gives you a little bit better armor, but people already overpin you, so you don't want to make those full pins. At least that's the way I see it. So I just keep it on Giant Hunter because of Marceau. Um, the reload is already quite low, so I run main battery modification and try to get it even lower. So main battery modification, propulsion, and concealment. Supplies are high grade coal, improved rations, and refined diesel. Camo, camo's alright. I wish it had surface detection. If it had surface detection, ship hit points, main battery firing range, more speed, or something of that nature, it'd be a super duper good camo, but still a good camo regardless. Better than everything else because it's 4%. If you have the 2059 camo, I think it's slightly better. So if you have the 2059 camo, you can use that. But I like the this camo. Everyone seems to disagree with me, but this is probably my favorite camo. Yeah, let's get into a game.
Enemy target spotted.
All right, here we are with the first game. It appears that we have one bot, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Sometimes the matchmaker just gives them to you. Thankfully, it's only one bot this time. It's very hard to keep an average. It's easier to win with bots, but bots just are not fun. So Shimikaze zooms up here, pops his smoke. Guys, as a Shimikaze player, you should be holding on to your smoke and not just using it at the very beginning of the game. I take a couple pot shots at him. I should have hit a lot. Like, I should have hit at least 10 shells here, but I missed all of them. First game of the day, it's just, it's not cooking, as some people would say. So I was very cautious about pushing up here, but I see on the mini map that the GK has pushed into the cap, or into the enemy cap. So I know I can push this flank and nobody's out here. So I decided to go to the inside of this island and play more aggressive. If you wanted to play more passive, you can play on the island to my right. But the GK seems to be focused on a bot at the moment. Now, the fact that Shimikaze is left, I still have to keep an eye on the Shimikaze. So I can farm the GK all I want, but I have right now it's basically a 1v1 in between me and the GK, but the island's in the way, and it's very hard to hit a light cruiser over an island where you cannot see him, but he has a bigger hitbox, so it's much easier to hit. So here I'm basically just trying to keep the island in between me and the GK, and I'm gonna open up and use all my guns. With Colbert, this is probably the prime position you want to be in. You want to be shooting over islands or kiting to maximize your DPM, but also saving your hit points. So I know this GK is here, but I'm zoomed out, so I don't have to pay too much attention to minimap because I knew the Shimikaze was coming back. So I load AP, he comes back, and my aiming here is not the greatest. I need to start working on that again. As you can see, 160 something shell hits on the GK, 150 something. So now the Shimikaze's pushing. In hindsight, I should have went directly away from him because I did give the Shimikaze an out here, but he was just trying to YOLO rush me. Launches his torpedoes, but they hit the islands. And now we start farming the GK again, but at this point, like I know the GK is dead, so you just try to farm him as much as possible. And we start heading to the cap, but I'm more so looking at the mini-map and seeing, okay, there's 3 cruisers down there. What do I want to do? And what you want to do in this case, whenever you're rushing somewhere, I want to kill everybody. I don't want to just cap them out. That's kind of a, I understand like that's what base capture is, but I do not enjoy doing it. So I'm going to go rush through their cap and try to pick one of them off. So like I was saying earlier about Colbert AP, it is devastating if you hit the right places. So we're looking up here and we see, I believe that's a Petro and a Seattle. Now Seattle is a tier 9 cruiser at half HP, and his DPM is okay for a tier 9 cruiser. It's not going to face off against a Des Moines, a Worcester, a Venezia, a Hindenburg. It's just going to lose because it's tier 9. So the Petro is leaving him. If the Petro is pushing with him, there's no way I win this. But I know that this is an unfair 1 versus 1, so I'm going to take it. So I get as close as I can before I open up my guns, which is 6.8 kilometers. I have AP loaded, and the damage just racks up. Now, I'm zooming out here. I'm paying attention to the Petro. The Petro finally turned, and he's coming back this way. So I'm turning away while shooting the Seattle. Just shooting as much AP as possible. Those shots were good. These shots should have been a little bit further back. They're still good, though. And he's dead. So you shoot what's loaded and load HE, and now it's time to try and dodge Petro. Petro is a very tough target. It's one that I definitely don't want to have good line of sight of me. He shoots low here. That was basically a sign to me that he's just not a very good player, so I decided to open up and use all my guns. And like I said earlier, kiting is probably one of the best positions for Colbert because it becomes a lot easier to dodge. Now I know Petro's almost dead here. I have 2 teammates with me. So I just shoot Petro here and I'm turning back to Hindenburg so I can kill Hindenburg. Petro dies. Yamato had a really good salvo on him. And as you can see, like this DPM is just stupid. It is so good. So much fun to play. Even though sometimes the fires aren't good as I get a fire. It's a lot of fun just to straight DPM somebody because no one really thinks about the Colbert. Hindenburg dies, 109,000, 3 kills. It was a pretty decent game. Most of the time you won't have everybody just rush into the side like that and be able to rush down the side, so I'll do one more game. Not too much damage taken. Again, 1 bot, unfortunate, but is what it is. Like decision making, situational awareness, and knowing how to dodge are probably the top things you need to know in Colbert. Aiming is like you need it. Like obviously I should have hit my shells on Shimikaze earlier in the match, but as long as you know, like you can pay attention to where people are and know what the best course of action is, you will be fine in Colbert. Now, how do you make sure you get better at these things? You run like cruisers. It's trial and error. You have to figure it out for yourself. There's no yes or no when it comes to ships like this. Like, there's no, okay, I need to do this, I need to do this. You could rush a full health Vermont and kill him in the right circumstance, but it doesn't happen very often. So sometimes it's better than kiting or things of that nature. Now, a lot of people would have went wide here, which would have been okay, but I wanted to use this island and see if this gearing would give me a smoke. The chance of a random gearing player giving you a smoke is very, very low, so I was not expecting it, but I figured I'd ask. Doesn't seem like he's going to do it, which is fine. I asked him for a smoke once more, but he does end up giving us a smoke later on, which does help a little bit, but not this time. So Stalingrad's there. I immediately open up and just shoot over the rock. Now I should not be spotted here, but for some reason, I get spotted here pretty quick. Or so I thought. So, again, shooting over an island out of Stalingrad so he doesn't have direct line of sight of me. Free 10k, free 14k, 15k. And then Vermont pushed up. So, even though there's an island in between you and him, I can see him so he can see me. So I'm just going to push out. Whoop, okay, there's a Buki. Load AP. But I'm pushing toward this island here because I don't want Vermont to have shots at me. Vermont can one-shot you. It has happened. So I'm going to focus this Ibuki. Now I thought for sure that this Vermont was just going to keep on pushing. So I just started focusing on my shots on Ibuki. I load HE. The Vermont ends up not pushing, so I do end up a little bit out of position here, but you don't want to be very close to a Vermont because if you're under 8-9 kilometers and you're not moving or you're being very predictable, that Vermont's going to kill you. Like, I can guarantee that he would hit a 22,000, 23,000 HP shot at me. He's just going to end me. So, I realized at this point, okay, Ibuki's going to die. Alaska and Stalingrad are still in the B cap. So I'm going to push back to the other side because I don't want to deal with either one of them. Now it appears Alaska's coming over here. Stalingrad is just pushing away. 57,000 with 4 minutes left. This is kind of a run over. So here this gearing was like, hey, I'll give you smokes. It's like, yes, thank you. So we start pushing up here, getting right behind him. Now Alaska's coming around this island, and I see that Vermont's not even looking this way. So I know that this guy's going to pop a radar, which he does end up doing. Yep, there's the radar. But at this point, I have a whole bunch of HP that I have saved, so I'm just going to push him. Like, there's nothing he can really do about it. So I'm looking over at Stalingrad. Stalingrad's too far, so I'm just going to stay in the smoke until it runs out. I'm hoping that my team kills Stalingrad so I don't have to deal with him. Vermont's just trying to run away. So now, this is what I mean whenever you can push a battleship like this. I see that my whole entire team is behind me. Everybody except for a cruiser, basically. So it's basically 5 versus 1. So there's no reason for me to try to kite this guy whenever he's trying to run away anyways. So I just turn in to try and dodge a couple shells. I end up doing that. And now I'm just using all of my guns as possible to try to kill him. Now he gets a good shot here. But at this point, I don't really care too much because there is a chance that he kills me with both guns or full salvo, but I'm just trying to get as much damage into him as possible. But yeah, there's the second game. So even with one battleship, this thing can easily put up a good amount of damage. You really just need really good decision making and understanding what can kill you and how to counter it. And most of the time that either means pushing or kiting. It's one or the other. Very rare is it, let's sit right here in this one spot. Show the stats real quick. It's a very good ship. I'm one of my top 5 most played. I really love it. I don't know if I'll ever get enough of it. You know, there's certain ships for everybody, and that's one of the ships for me. Is Colbert. Again, a really good ship. I wouldn't recommend it to a new player. I think you should get something like a Wooster, since that's free to play. Understanding your role as a Colbert and understanding what heavy cruiser, a light cruiser, understanding what everything else can do to you really does help you realize the best thing to do at that certain time. So you've played most of the battleships, most of the cruisers. You understand what they can do to you and the capabilities and how to counter them. So that's probably the most, or the best way to deal with people is just realizing what they can do and then what the best course of action is. If I had to give the ship a rating, I think it is one of the best cruisers for randoms. You know, for competitive, it's a totally different look. But for the most part, I would say Colbert is a B tier to A tier cruiser. It's not S tier. S tier is things like Smolensk that are obviously much more capable than Colbert simply because of smoke and torpedoes. But if you are a good player and you do realize the capabilities of all the other ships, Colbert can be a top notch cruiser. So, yeah, that's my review of Colbert. Very good ship. I would recommend it to veteran players, but if you are a newcomer, just get something like a Wooster or a Tech Tree light cruiser, and then decide later on if you want to get Colbert. So, yeah, this is my first video. Have a good day. See y'all.